música clásica, como si fuera la música del siglo XVII. Así que sin más, voy a presentar a un gran flautista y a su mano derecha, como no, al señor Bora Dugic Boban Prodanovic.
Hello, everybody. It's Mike here, Games Trash.
Pop our past that same week. My heart was weary. I was weak. I was feeling blue when I was on my way.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here with Games from Scratch, and I've got and I'm actually zoomed in.
With the plea, could you go out to buy the groceries? I needed the drive, and I was on my way. Walking down the grocery aisles, asking if I needed help. I get in, I couldn't help but smile. Oh, cutie grocery clerk, I don't want to but every now and then I will return.
Source projects. And basically,
boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. Singer in a smoky room, smell of wine and cheap perfume. For a smile they can share the night. It goes on and on and on and
a bunch of organizations apply to be in the Summer of Code, and then they're paired with students that want to work on their projects. And the list of organizations was just announced. So if you're interested in learning more, head on over to summerofcode.withgoogle.com, and you can get the list of organizations. And that's what we're going to look at today. So the organizations were announced. We're not going to go through all of these. A lot of them aren't relevant or aren't really game development related. Now, obviously, they're all open source related, but some of these things you've definitely heard of. So we've got things in here like programming languages like Dart, which ironically is a Google project. A number of Google projects are actually in here. We've got Debian, the operating system, Django, Python-based web framework, I think. We got Fedora here and so on. So there are a number of different interesting projects. Git, Jenkins, JBoss, Kodi, you name it, it's probably on here. So we got Lua is in here, Python is in here, Mozilla is in here, tons and tons of companies you've definitely heard of. But we're going to focus on the ones that are mostly about game development or tools that are used in relation to game development. And those are, number one, Blender. So Blender is accepted once again. Blender was in it last year. The cool thing about any one of these, if you want to see examples of what they're going for, they do an idea list of the kind of stuff that they're interested in seeing. So things like cycles render, many light sampling, collision aware beveling, new texture nodes, and so on. So each organization has their pitch list of things that they would like students to look at. And then it's a matter basically of matching students to projects. So that is Blender. Let's keep going. Who else is on here? First year ever, GDevelop is in there. If you've never heard of GDevelop, it is a no code, I guess, is a way to put it. It's kind of like an open source version of, say, Construct or Stencil, those kind of things.
Hello everyone, welcome to another video in So now we're on to see scales differently. So over here we have I would are the more, and we can add a custom. If you go here, another, it will say what if you a bunch of animation. Well, that's since the player has the platformer can make it jump, and so now you already have a platformer character, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm probably going to be doing something
completely open source project, obviously, because it's on this list. It is a 2D game engine cross-platform. I've done some coverage of it. I will link that in the linked article down below. So if you want to learn more about JDevelop, they are looking for people. They are the first. This is their first time once again in this program. And next up, we've got, Godot. Godot was in it last year, and I'm actually going to look at Blender and Godot. We'll look at what happened out of the 2019 results, so you get an idea of the kind of projects and the kind of benefits that, you and I, the people that may not necessarily be college or university level students and may not be open source contributors, but we are users of open source, the kind of benefits we get out of the Summer of Code sponsorships. I'll look at those in a few minutes. But Godot is one of the companies as well. Inkscape is on the list as well. Inkscape is a vector graphics based, again, open source painting application, kind of the open source version of Illustrator. So they're in it once again. Scum doesn't really belong on this list, but it's a game engine, for running Scum games. Scum games are old school classics, things like Monkey Island, Simon the Sorcerer, Space Quest, and so on. And so those are, it's kind of on the list. It's more like if you wanted to participate in a game-like project, Scum would make sense. It's a C++, SDL, and OpenGL-based product. Then we got Synfig. This is an open source 2D animation software. I'll link a hands-on I did with Synfig as well, but that project is on the list. And then, as I mentioned earlier on, some of the payoffs from doing the Google Summer of Code from last year, so 2019 results, these are the benefits that Blender got. So we got the outliner got improved. It actually got improved quite a bit. Improvements to cycles and EV for procedural content creation, support for VR headsets through OpenXR, bevel custom profiles, Intel Ombre BVH for GPU support, clock simulator improvements, and continuing LAN-PR engine development. Those were the outputs from Google Summer of Code for the Blender project last year. And then from the Godot project, we got out of it was improvements to the visual scripting system, GDScript language server, something that actually I have coming up in an upcoming video, but basically it allows external tools like Visual Studio Code to communicate with Godot to give you better language support in external editors. That just went live in Godot 3.2. Asynchronous cached file access, motion matching implementation using KD trees, interactive music, version control system integration, static analyzer for GDScript, and rewriting of the Godot's light mapper. So those were the projects that Godot benefited from last year. If you're interested, this year, what they are pitching is available on the idea list. And we've got some nice stuff here. Improved Godot's theme editor, improvements for internationalization for games, improving VCS integration, organizing project editor settings into sections, implementing patch system in the X monitors. Those are some. If the student, okay, just ideas that have been put forward by the project or the organization that is participating. So that doesn't necessarily mean those are the things that are going to be implemented as part of Google Summer of Code. Now, the timeline for this whole thing is shown right here. So right now we are at this point. The organizations that are part of this have just been announced. You applied back in January to get in here. So between the February 5th deadline and today, they figured out who was going to be part of it. So now that's part of it. And if you want to be in it, the application period starts March the 16th, reviewed through March the 31st. Projects are announced April 27th. Coding commences May 18th. You got evaluations throughout, and basically you get paid in different chunks and tiers. And then the results are announced right here. Now, in terms of getting paid, last year it was about $6,000 US, depending on your cost of living. So if you're in like a most expensive part of the world to live, you could make up with a great us and but definitely they have supported students 1286 across the world. Summer student for that, or when can apply, and so on. So if you're interested, currently the proposals are units. So after being embargoed, check that before you get into going ahead with it. But again, it is a good opportunity to make a wage working in open source and contributing to projects that the rest of us will all benefit from. So once again, win-win and win. All right, thank you. That's it.
They'll bust your kneecaps. Johnny, don't leave me. You said you'd love me forever. Honey, believe me, I'll have your heart on a platter. Might you recall, we've got a small family business, and the family won't like this. They'll bust your kneecaps. Ooh, op-dee-doo, op-dee-doo. They'll bust your kneecaps. Ooh, op-dee-doo, op-dee-doo. Johnny, you told me you were no fool, you were no chump. Then you got cold feet. Now all you be is a speed bump, something we call, oh, just a small family business, and the family won't like this. They'll bust your kneecaps. Ooh, op-dee-doo, op-dee-doo. They'll bust your kneecaps. That's what they're going to do. Johnny, there's still time. Together I know we'd go so far. I'll tell Uncle Rocco to call up the guy with the crowbar. You call it crime, we call it smart family business, and the family